There's a few different philosophies that GMs and scout have. Some believe that you draft the best available player. Others believe that you draft by need, and also too they build a team through free agency. Is there one strategy that really kind of stood out to you that you really believed in? Or did you kind of try to take all of that into consideration?
Yeah, what we tried to do every time was draft the best player, and didn't always do that, and it jumped up and bit us right in the rear end when we didn't. But we were always cognizant of what we should do. We spent so much time assembling our board, getting it ready for the draft, and then it seemed like every time we would jump the board, there would be people higher, but we'd take somebody lower due to a needed position or something of that ilk. It didn't work out quite like we had hoped it would. So it was hard. It's a hard process. It's a very diligent process. You have to be very careful that you put the players where they belong in your mind on your board and draft off your board. I'll give you a perfect example of that. And I wasn't in the game when this happened, but I'll never forget. I watched the draft, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, maybe. It was when Robert Griffin was drafted by the Redskins. And in the 4th round, they drafted Kirk Cousins. All right? And then I was sitting there watching this happen, and then they got all these talking heads saying how stupid that was on the part of the Redskins, having invested. I think they traded 3 number ones to get Griffin, but in the 4th round there was Cousins, and they took him. Well, now fast forward to today. I mean, that's pretty smart by the Redskins. So those are the types of things that really you don't jump your board, and they didn't jump their board. They took the best player, and it worked out for them. That's what I'm getting at.
Wow, that's a lot of high pressure, Ron, because, it's like you said, you have to be in the moment and you're constantly thinking, because it's one of those situations where you have free agency right around the corner and you guys are working to the wee hours in the morning and trying to find the best player throughout this whole drafting process to fit the team needs and knowing how you got to fill these holes in. Can you just expound on that? Because that's just something that, a lot of fans really don't know. This is the crucial time of the year for your staff, for the GM, the scouts, and the player personnel departments, where you guys are working throughout the year, but this is, like you said, this is when you got to get it right.
No question about that. And I think, that's one of the benefits of free agency. In professional football, a third of your team changes every year. So you've got to come up with 17, 18 new players. Now you got 7 draft choices, and hopefully you'll hit some free agents and all that. But then you have to really understand the free agent market and fill your needs that way. So you're dealing with human beings, so not every pick you make or every player you select isn't going to work out for you. You just have to realize that. But somewhere you got to come up with 17, 18 more players to fill that gap that's already already left your team because of free agency. I hope I'm being clear there. I think you can see what I'm trying to say there.
Absolutely.
But that's what and that's what you're trying to do. You're constantly working, playing with your roster, your 53 guys, seeing who can fit where, what you need desperately to be successful. If you're a low-ranked team, how you can get higher. If you're a higher-ranked team, how you can stay up there. So it's an interesting process, and it's not quite as easy, and I can't really explain it. It's a gut feel, but you have to know what your team needs, how you can best fit the system that you're running offensively and defensively, and you can never forget your special teams. Never forget your punter and your place kicker and your snapper.
And with a sport like basketball, one player, one free agent, one draft pick can make the difference. With football, you just said it's a bigger roster, and everyone has to work together. Those 11 guys out on the field at that time. When you're drafting, do you put more of an emphasis on round 1 than 7, or are all rounds just as important to you?
Well, all rounds are very important, but one is so important. because that's really where you're spending most of your time in your preparation process to make sure that you've got that assembled the proper way. But I don't think you can ever overlook at any point, no matter where you are in the draft. When I was in it, you had to get 3 real players in your 7 picks. And I'm talking about real players, guys that would come in and start right away and play a position. I think because it's been tweaked and the teams have gotten so much smarter, that doesn't exist anymore. I think you need more. You've got to hit 4 or 5 of those 7, and they have to be real players. And then you have to do the same thing in the free agency market. You have to get real players to fill your need. It sounds like an easy process, but it isn't. You spend an awful lot of time assembling your board, and then you draft the last day solely off your board. So you take the best player that's available to you, and then that's usually when you come up with the jewels, if you will, in the draft, because now you're drafting solely not for need, not for anything other than your team and their ability and the individual's ability to play the game, and that's where it's focused, and that's where when I was in it, I had a lot of success in that area. So.